A few days ago was Valentine's Day. Did you have a good Valentine's Day? Kinda, sorta, yeah, okay. Some of y'all did. All right. Some of y'all maybe not so much. Maybe you wish it could have been better. I don't know. Some of us maybe we didn't have a Valentine, so maybe that was part of the issue. Do y'all? I know those of you with kids still do this. Do y'all remember just the anticipation when you were a kid of Valentine's Day at school, right? Making your boxes or whatever that people are going to put Valentines in. I feel like, I don't remember for sure, I don't feel like we had these big boxes that we decorated. When I was a kid, all I remember is getting like the white lunch sacks, you know what I'm talking about? And we would decorate those. We would like cut out hearts and glue hearts all over those. And mine still never looked really good, but you know, it was something that you would kind of hang on your desk, and then everybody would go by and they would drop certain Valentines in. And if somebody dropped a Valentine in that like had the little sucker attached to it, oh man, those people went all out for Valentine's Day. You know, that was a big deal. But one of the things I remember about Valentine's Day, especially when I was a kid, was when you would get those boxes of those chalky little white hearts. You know, or not white, but those chalky little multicolored hearts. You know, they had the phrases on them. And I know they still have those. There was a year or so where they kind of discontinued them because the company that usually made those got bought out by another company, and they were trying to figure out, you know, who's actually going to make these. But they still, I think they still make those, right? And they call them conversation hearts. Okay, and so did anybody get those this year? Anybody raise your hand? Okay, a few of you did. All right. So and they have little, you know, positive phrases in them. That, you know, be mine, you shine, forever, love you. And there's some more recently that I read about. Some of them like say goat on them, like you're the goat, like here's a, you know, greatest of all time. Wow, that'd be a great little Valentine heart to get, right? There's me and you, you're cute, cutie, all that kind of stuff. Okay, there's even some that say text me instead of call me. Did you know that? All right. Now, what I discovered, I haven't seen these yet, and I made the mistake of trying to go to the store, you know, too late after Valentine's Day. It's all Easter stuff in the store now, by the way. The Valentine stuff is gone, just in case you wondered. But I've heard of these, you know, I just talked about the conversation hearts. There's also end of conversation hearts. Have y'all seen these? They are negative phrases on these hearts. Now, you got to be careful. I'll just tell you ahead of time. If you Google this, there's some really inappropriate ones that you don't want to buy, okay? But there's some other ones that you can get. I don't know if you can get in Walmart, Target, you know, whatever. I don't know where they come from, but they say things like, not yours, just no, for never, go away, I need space, as if, meh, and you wish. So there's end of conversation hearts. I'm giving you this Valentine to say, please don't have any contact with me ever again. Now, depending on which hearts you got from somebody, how would you react to that? I mean, if you got the little hearts like cutie and all that kind of stuff, you're like, aw, that means so much to me. And somebody hands you a little heart that says for never, that's kind of hurtful, isn't it? And we think to ourselves, like, okay, but it's a dumb little candy heart. That's not that significant, right? Really doesn't mean a whole lot. But words do matter, don't they? I mean, even sometimes just a little insignificant things we say. The things that we think, that's not that big a deal. That's not going to make that big of a difference. It really can. Our words really can matter. And that's what I want us to be thinking about this morning. We started talking a couple weeks ago about this phrase, it's not you, it's me. And we acknowledge that a lot of times we use this phrase, or this phrase is used when somebody is wanting to end a friendship or a relationship. And they don't want to hurt that other person's feelings. They kind of want to let them down easy or you know, kind of soften the blow. And so they say something like, you know, it's not you, it's me. When in reality, they usually mean it's definitely you. and I'm, as far as me, I'm not tolerating you anymore. But we say things like, it's not you, it's me. But what we started recognizing a couple weeks ago is that when there are problems, when there are struggles in our relationships, whether it's a friendship, whether it's something going on in our families, our marriages, maybe something going on with coworkers, that sometimes it is me. That sometimes I need to take an honest look at myself and recognize maybe some character traits, maybe some things that I'm doing or not doing that are hurting our relationship. But as much as I want to point fingers and blame and say, you need to do something different, you need to be better at this, I need to stop and go, well, what about me? What is about me that I need to do differently than what I'm doing right now? How can I be a better me so that we can be a better we? What do I need to change about myself? And so we recognize that sometimes it's not you, it's me, it's my need for control. That I have such a strong desire to make sure that things go the way that I want them to at all times, that I end up hurting our relationship because I'm so focused on you doing things the way that I want them to be done. And I have to make sure that everything goes the way that I want it to. And if it doesn't, that causes me stress and anxiety and anger and frustration. And that comes out of me because I don't have control. We talked last week about sometimes it's not you that's the problem in a relationship, it's me, and it's my expectations. I've kind of got these goals in mind. I got this vision of what this relationship is going to look like. I got this picture in my mind of how you're going to treat me and things you're going to say to me and things you're going to do and not do. And while that's similar to the control thing, I have these goals, I have these visions, I have these dreams, I have this picture. And maybe I haven't communicated that with you, or maybe you're just not measuring up to what I have in my mind, or maybe you've got different expectations than I do. But I'm so focused and so determined to have this relationship meet my expectations that I end up hurting our relationship. So that's what we talked about last week. And this morning, I want to talk about something else that maybe needs to be different in my own life so that we can have a better relationship and a better connection with each other. That maybe when there's problems, when there's conflicts, when there's struggles going on in a certain relationship, it's not you, it's me. More specifically, it's my words. It's the things that I'm saying. It's the way that I use my words. It's the tone that I use when I'm talking with you. It's the things that are coming out of my mouth that are causing anxiety and tension and anger and resentment and maybe even hurt. And some of you may be thinking, okay, but wait a minute, last week, when we were talking about expectations, you said words are important. You said we need to communicate. I need to use my words. I need to talk to you about what my expectations are, and that's true. Words are important. And what I want us to acknowledge this morning is that although communication is vital to any relationship, it's also true that I can be speaking words that are hurtful and damaging to this relationship, and maybe not even realize it, or maybe not even acknowledge it, and not recognizing how much hurt my words are causing to my kids, how much hurt and damage my words are causing to my parents, how much resentment I am causing in my marriage simply from my speech, how much I'm hurting my friendships because of the tone of voice that I use, because of the words that I choose to share. It may not be you, it may be me, and it may be my words. That's the problem. Because words have power. Words have an incredible influence in our lives. I can make a positive difference in your life, or I can make a negative difference. I can be very strengthening and encouraging. I can be very hurtful with the way that I use my words. I can help strengthen our relationship, or I can help to corrode our relationship simply by what I choose to say. Solomon said it this way centuries ago, one of the wisest men that ever lived. Solomon said in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21, the tongue has the power of life and death. Now, I don't think that Solomon is saying that if I come up to you and I say something negative to you, that I have the power just to make you keel over and die because of whatever that I say. I think what Solomon is talking about here is our connections and our relationships. I have the power to breathe life and to speak life into our relationship, to make our relationship stronger, to make our connection with each other even stronger than it has been, to breathe life into our relationship because of my words. But I also have the power to breathe death into this relationship, to corrode our connection with each other, simply because of the words that I choose to use. I can impact our relationship positively or negatively through my words. So, well, okay, what are we talking about then? What kind of words speak death into a relationship? What kind of words speak death into someone else's life? Let me give you some examples real quick. One is insults. Calling you names, swearing at you, making fun of you, especially in front of other people. Those kinds of words, those kinds of phrases, those things can cause a lot of problems, cause a lot of damage to our relationship. Not just our relationship, it can cause a lot of damage to your self-esteem, how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself. And that can be, those insults can come from a variety of different sources. Maybe it's, I don't feel very good about myself. I don't think very highly of myself, and I start to think that nobody else thinks highly of me either. So what do? I insult you. I make you look bad. I talk bad about you or talk bad to you so that everybody will look at your flaws and not pay any attention to mine. And I can feel better about me because I'm making you feel worse about you. And I think most of us would think to ourselves, I don't do that. I would never intentionally do that. And yet that really is at the core of why we insult other people. Some of us, we just want the laughs. We just want to be the center of attention. We think it's funny. And we are so focused on getting laughs and pats on the back for whatever it is that we're choosing to say. And we don't care what kind of damage it's causing that person that we're making fun of because people like us. People think we're funny. People think that we're the life of the party. And so I can be hurting you and hurting our relationship, but I'm not even thinking about that because I'm enjoying what I'm receiving from the insults. And I hurt us because I'm hurting you with my insults. Another example is just criticism. Just pointing out faults. Telling you things that you're doing wrong. Telling you things that you should be doing differently. Telling you, like, you should have handled this situation in a different way. You should be making better choices. You should be making a different decision than that. Now, to be fair, sometimes we need criticism in our lives. If I'm making bad choices, if I'm making the wrong decisions, if I'm doing something that's going to end up hurting me or hurting somebody else, I need to be critiqued on that. I may not like it, but I need it. I need someone that I can trust, that I know cares about me, to come to me and say, hey, here, I see the path that you're on, and something needs to be different. You need to be making some different choices. You need to pay attention to what your actions are producing right now. I kind of need that in my life. What I'm talking about when I'm talking about speaking death into a relationship through criticism is a tendency that some of us have to find all the negative things that we can about another person and point those things out. To consistently point out your flaws and your mistakes and bring up past failures that we've already dealt with and moved past. And I'm specifically choosing not to focus on the things that you're doing well and not to focus on maybe even the things that I've criticized in the past and you fixed, you're doing better, and to still focus on the way you messed those things up in the past. I am constantly and consistently criticizing you. And in the process of doing that, I am consistently eroding the foundation of our relationship with each other through that criticism. Maybe it's just complaining, which is similar to criticism, but it's a little bit different. I mean, if I'm criticizing you, I'm picking out specific things about you that I want to critique, that I want to point out the flaws in. Complaining is a much more broad spectrum. I'm talking about just being negative. Maybe I'm being negative about you. Maybe I'm being negative about my job, our house, where we live, who our friends are, what the economy is like, who the president is, whatever it is. I'm just complaining. I can't find positive things to talk about. I refuse to find positive things to talk about because all I want to do is talk about the negative stuff. And when it comes up in conversations and friends, no matter what it is, I'm going to be the one that brings out the negative thing. Maybe you've seen, it's been years ago, there was a character for a few episodes on Saturday Night Live called Debbie Downer. How many of y'all remember Debbie Downer? A few of y'all do. Man, it was hilarious. I mean, there's one episode there at Disney World. How can you not be having a good time at Disney World? And everything she says is something negative about Disney World. And you think to yourself, like, that's a hilarious Saturday Night Live sketch and a hilarious Saturday Night Live character, but I wonder how many of us are actually Debbie Downers. We constantly look for the negative things. We constantly talk about the things that are going wrong, the things that aren't measuring up, the things that aren't going the way they want them to. And the more that I do that in my relationships, the more it affects that entire connection. Who wants to be connected to somebody who is constantly talking about everything that's going wrong? Whether it's about us or things that we have no control over. When I'm constantly complaining, that wears at the foundation of my relationships. People don't want to be around somebody like that. It causes me to hurt my marriage, to hurt my relationship with my kids and my parents, to hurt my relationship with siblings, to kill my friendships because I'm constantly complaining. Threats obviously can be damaging to relationships. Ever hear phrases like this? Ever say phrases like this? Keep acting like that, see what happens. Do that again, and I'm done with you. Don't make me tell other people what you're really like. How does that build trust? How does that build connection and love between two people? If I'm constantly threatening you with consequences when you don't act the way I want you to or say the things I want you to. Why would I want to stay in a relationship like that when I'm constantly feeling threatened? Because really the threats are all about control, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. I've got a certain way I want this relationship to go. You are not fitting that picture that I have. I'm losing control over this situation. So what do? I threaten you to bring you back under control, to rein you back in. That's not healthy. That's definitely not loving. And it's not going to breathe life into our connection, our relationship. It's going to destroy it. Or maybe it's I'm calling it dismissive words. And I'll be honest with you guys. I'm confessing y'all this morning. There's multiples of these things that I've shared with you that I have been at fault with. I've been critical. I've been insulting. This may be the one that I struggle with the most. Just dismissive words. I don't care. You're overreacting. I don't have the time for this. Or the classic, whatever. Whew. Man, I've used that one a lot. And the problem is, I'm not just communicating to you that this particular situation isn't important or important enough for my focus. I'm communicating to you, you're not important enough. I don't value you. It's not that I just don't value your time. I don't value you. And when I say things like this, when I use these dismissive words, it causes this person that I'm in this relationship with to feel undervalued, to feel insignificant, to feel unworthy, to feel dismissed, to feel unloved. It creates feelings of distrust. It creates feelings of loneliness. It disconnects us from each other instead of building stronger connections between us. Folks, the list could go on and on. These are just some of the more common ways that my words can do damage to my relationship. That my words can destroy my marriage, my family dynamic, my friendships. Those things can all be hurt by the words that I choose to use. And then I can sit back and be confused. I don't know why we're not as close as we once were. I don't know why this particular friendship, that we're just not hanging out anymore. We're not talking. We're not doing things together like we used to. I don't understand why my kids seem more distant from me. I don't understand why my parents seem just disconnected from me. I don't know why my spouse, we're just not close. We're not clicking anymore. And I can't figure out why. And one of the glaring reasons that I'm not paying attention to might be my words. It's not you, it's me. It's my words. It's the things that I'm saying and the way that I'm saying them that is killing this relationship instead of speaking life into it. Okay, so how do I speak life into it then? If we recognize these kinds of words, the insults and the criticism and all those kinds of things are breathing death, speaking death into this relationship, how do I speak life then? What do I do to make my words better so that I can make this relationship stronger? Let me give you some things that can help. First thing, right off the bat, I need to have an honest conversation with you about my words. I need to use my words to talk about my words. What I mean is, if I'm struggling in this friendship, then I need to ask this friend, is it some of the things that I'm saying, is it the way that I talk, is the way that I speak to you, is that having an impact on our relationship? Do you feel like I'm being dismissive? Am I being too critical? Am I complaining all the time? To have that kind of an honest conversation with my spouse, to be humble enough to have that kind of an honest conversation with my kids. I mean, it takes some vulnerability. It takes some humility to put myself out there and to recognize, okay, the things that I've been saying, I may not have even been paying attention to how hurtful they are. Have they been hurtful? Let's talk about that. To address it, to acknowledge this is a problem. But how am I going to know it's a problem if we don't talk about it, if we don't address it? This is what Jesus talks about in Matthew chapter 5. Now, he's talking in Matthew chapter 5 in the context of some people who, in the Jewish culture of his day, that were bringing, sacrifices to the temple. They were bringing animal sacrifice. So they bring, some grain or something from their farm to the synagogue to offer to God. And Jesus says in Matthew chapter 5, beginning in verse 23, therefore, if you're offering your gift to the altar and there you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First, go and be reconciled to them, and then come and offer your gift. Now, there's a lot to unpack here, but the principle that I want you to see, that I want you to focus on this morning, what Jesus has to share is, you need to address the problem and address it now. Address it now. Don't wait and don't think, well, okay, if I feel like this continues to be a problem, maybe we'll talk about it. Go deal with it now. Go talk to that person. Is it your spouse? Is it your friend? Is it somebody that you're dating? Is it your kids? Is it your parents? Whoever it is that you feel like maybe your words are causing a problem, causing a disconnect between the two of you, then go and address that and don't wait. Go talk about it. Have that conversation. Have an honest conversation with them. And be willing to hear what the response is and to do something about it. I can't know to fix it if I don't know that it's a problem. So that's where I start. And then when it comes to my words, maybe what I need to do first and foremost is just slow down. Pump the brakes a little bit. Don't be so quick to say the first thing that comes to my mind. That's a problem for a lot of us. Some of us are thinkers when it comes to what we have to say. We will think about what we're going to say. We'll think about what the other what their reaction is going to be to that, and then what our response is going to be to their response. And we kind of think through that whole thing before we say that. And some of us don't do that. I think all of us at some point struggle with just speaking the first thing that comes out of our mind. We talk about having a filter and not having a filter. I think all of us at some points are filterless. We just share whatever that thought is. Maybe because we're tired, maybe because we're frustrated, maybe because we're angry, whatever it is, we just speak and we don't care what the consequences are going to be. And it may be hurtful, it may be damaging, it may actually be accurate. But we're not caring about what the reaction is going to be to it, how that person is going to hear it. We're just going to say it. And maybe some of us need to get a better habit of just slowing down for a second. Let me take a breath before I say what it is I'm going to say. Let me run through that scenario in my head before I say it out loud. James says it this way in James chapter 1 and verse 19. My brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. James is not saying that we need to speak in slow motion. James is saying I need to slow down before I let those words come out of my mouth. How are you going to hear what it is I'm going to say? Is this the right time to say it? Is this the right thing to say? I need to slow down so that I don't cause more hurt and more stress and more fear and more criticism and more resentment. Or, for some of us, we don't need to just slow down. Some of us need to stop. We need to stop using some of the words we're using. We need to stop ourselves from saying whatever it is that we have in mind to say, because this is not the time to say it, and it's probably not even accurate, so let's not even say it. Some of us, there was a comedian that I heard years ago that said sometimes you got to bite that tongue till blood comes out your nose. Some of us need to do that. We need to say, I'm not going to even say it. Because I know that if I say that, that's going to cause problems, and it's something that doesn't even necessarily need to be said. So I'm not even going to say it. Oh, this is hard for some of us. Especially if somebody says something hurtful to me. Man, I want to fire right back at them. And feel justified. I have every right to say it. And sometimes I don't need to just slow down. I need to stop. Not even say those words. Stop being critical. Stop with the insults. Stop with the threats. Again, from Proverbs, the book of wisdom, chapter 21, verse 23, it says, watch your tongue and keep your mouth shut, and you will stay out of trouble. My mom is probably watching because she watches online. Bless her heart. She's probably going to hear me say this. But when I was a kid, especially in my teenage years, my mom consistently said to me, that mouth of yours is going to get you in trouble one of these days. And she was right. It did multiple times. Still does sometimes. And that's what Proverbs is getting at here. Sometimes just to keep yourself out of trouble. Sometimes to keep from hurting this relationship. Sometimes to keep from causing more damage than maybe has already been caused. You need to just keep your mouth shut. Just don't say it. It doesn't need to be said. So let's not say it. Let's not use those words. Let's not use that tone. Let's not go down that path again. Let's not speak death into this relationship. Let's just stop. Slow down or stop. On the other hand, I need to be in the habit of speaking words that build up. I need to build you up with my words. I need to speak life into you and into your heart. When I choose to use words that encourage you, that lift you up, that make you stronger, that build you up and make you feel better. And again, it's not that I can't address problems. It's not that I can't say anything about mistakes that are being made and things that could be different. I can do that. But even when I do that, do it in a constructive way. Doing it from a perspective of, man, I care about you and I care about us, and here's something that I wish was different. But then I also compliment you and encourage you. I see how you're handling this situation. I see how we're doing better in this particular area. Thank you for doing that. Keep going. I'm proud of you. You're doing so good. You're working so hard. I care about you. I love you. Let's use those kinds of words on a regular basis. Because that will make a huge impact in our relationships. Paul says it this way in Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 29. Don't let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. What is it that you need to hear from me? Not just what you want to hear, what do you need to hear? What are the words that I can share that will build you up, that will make you a better person, that will make you stronger, that will make you feel more loved and more significant and more encouraged? What can I say that will help with that? What kind of words can I use that will breathe life into you and into our relationship? That's what I need to be in the habit of. And that's what so many of us struggle with. Now think about it this way. He uses the words are building each other up. And if you go back to the ancient Greek language that this verse was originally written in, that word that we translate in our English Bibles, building up, was the literal word in most of the ancient Greek culture for building a building, building a house, building a structure of some kind. And you think about the architecture of ancient Greece and ancient Rome. Some of those structures are still standing today, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later. Those things have been built strong. And the words they talked about when they're building those temples and building those arenas and building those structures, that's the word that Paul uses here. I want to speak words to you and about you that build you up, that make you a stronger person, that make us have a stronger connection, a stronger relationship. And that's what my words can do. I use bricks to build buildings, right? To make solid foundations, to make solid walls, to make something stronger, to make something that's going to survive when storms come, when things go wrong, when things push against it. Paul says, I use words to build you up, to make you stronger, to help you survive the storms, to help you deal with problems and struggles that come. My words can help make you stronger. Because that's what bricks do for buildings, right? But what else can bricks do? What happens if I throw this brick at a window? It's going to shatter. If I go out in the parking lot and throw this brick at your car, it's going to leave a dent, pretty significant scratch. If I throw this at you, it's going to hurt. But I can do that with a brick too. I can cause a lot of pain, or I can cause a lot of good. The brick itself is neutral. It's a brick. It's how I choose to use the brick that makes the difference. Paul says the same thing is true about my words. The words themselves are neutral. It's the words that are just coming out of my mouth. It's how I choose to use them. Am I building you up? Or am I tearing you down? Am I making you stronger? Or am I hurting you? Let's build each other up. If I want to make our relationship stronger, I need to use words that make you stronger so that we will be stronger together. The last thing, if I'm going to speak life into our relationship, and I put this at the end of the list, and maybe this should have been the first thing that I talked about. Because honestly, this may make the biggest impact. That is to take a look at my heart. What is my heart full of? What is it that owns my heart right now? Because whatever it is that my heart is full of is going to be reflected in how I speak to people, especially those I'm in a relationship with. I mean, that's literally what Jesus says. In Matthew chapter 12, verse 34, Jesus says, the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. So if my heart is full of addiction, if my heart is full of sin, if my heart is full of guilt, if my heart is full of anger and resentment, if my heart is full of fear and anxiety, whatever it is that owns my heart, that's what's going to come out of my mouth. I want to say things that are hurtful and resentful. I want to say things from an angry place. I want to say things that are going to cause more anger in you. I'm going to say things that are going to create more anxiety and more stress. I'm going to say things that are hurtful. Why? Because my heart's hurt. My heart is full of things that are hurting it, and so I'm going to say things that are going to hurt us. But if my heart is full of the Spirit, if my heart is full of love and peace and joy, I'm going to speak words that are Spirit-filled. I want to tell you often how much I care about you, how much I love you. I want to speak joy into our relationship. I'm going to speak peace into our relationship. My words are going to draw us closer together and make us stronger and not tear us further apart. If I'm in a place in my life right now that is full of sin, that is full of guilt, that is full of disappointment, that is full of anger, that is full of sadness, that is full of loneliness, that's going to impact how I speak to you, which is going to impact our relationship and our connection with each other. So I need to take a look at my heart. What needs to be cleaned out? What needs to be changed? What needs to be let go of? What is it that owns my heart right now that isn't of God? Because that's going to change my words, which is going to change us. I want to wrap up. I want to go back to the brick one more time. And just here in a second, we're going to stand up together and we're going to sing a song together. And the song is really a prayer. It's a prayer to God. It's a song that we've sung multiple times in this church family before. And it's just asking God. It's praying to God and saying, God, like just starting today and just for today. I'm not even looking down too far down the road. Just for today, help me be who it is I'm supposed to be, including the places I go, the things that I do, and the things that I say. I want us to think about this brick. I just want you to think to yourself. What am I doing right now with the bricks in my life? And what I mean is for us each to ask ourselves, what am I doing with my words right now? Do people in my life, do my kids, does my spouse, do my friends, do they know how much I care about them? How much I appreciate them? How much they bless me? When was the last time that I built them up with my words? Or does my spouse, do my kids, do my parents, do my friends, do they feel like this relationship is corroding? This connection is hurtful. This connection is broken because of how I use my words. And maybe the reason that I struggle to speak life in the lives of others is because I am not allowing God to speak life into me. And so maybe as we get ready to stand up and sing this song together, maybe we need to be reminded, or maybe some of us need to hear for the very first time the words of life that our God speaks to us. And they are true. We can hold on to them, believe them. So we have a God that looks at each one of us and says, you matter. You're accepted. You're important. You're forgiven. You are loved. If it's been a long time since you've allowed yourself to hear those words from your God, then please hear them this morning. If that's never happened, please hear those words from him this morning. Let him pour those words of life into you so that you can pour those words of life into someone else. And when we sing this song together, if you're thinking to yourself, something else does have my heart, and I'm lobbing bricks into this one relationship, or maybe all of them, and I need help, you are welcome to come to the front and share that with us. And we will not criticize you. We will not judge you. We will love you. And we will help you. We will pray for you. And we will do anything we can to speak life into you so that you can speak life into your relationships as well. Can we help? We want to. Let us know how while together we stand and sing.